whoa! Camera. Now watch the lights. Careful with the equipment. We have news to share. Wait, we're rolling? Alright folks, thanks for tuning in to Game for Home News at Now. I am your host, Kasaka. Tonight we are bringing you breaking news from the game front. I have taken on two monumental tasks, the first of which is my massive mega power plant, titled the super impressive mega power plant of totally respectable Emperor of Novelty and Sumptuousness, or Simptrans for short. I am undertaking this task with these following constraints. The second monumental task is fighting food insecurity, but more on that later. Moving on to today's main story. Here are the many crimes and mistakes of the Clorox and his goal to power the end of the world. Day 1. Our protagonist, the Clorox, was born on the outskirts of some town in Franklin County. Our story begins with a wait. After our short wait for the rest of reality to join us, we set off on our adventure as many survivors before us have. Burglary! This time, we spent carefully rummaging through the dwellings nearest our birthplace, certain that the previous owners wouldn't pay any mind. Then, out of nowhere, we encountered a few of the deceased neighbors, and they were surprisingly ambulatory. Our crimes have not gone unnoticed, and we must take evasive actions to avoid penance for our hubris. We had to steal a vehicle to escape the heat, and we inevitably ran into trouble on the road, which was no match for our 2.5 tons of steel moving with velocity. We then burglarized some more homes in search of materials and subsequently found out that fishing as a concept is beyond our comprehension. Oh, I'll take all this fishing line. I've been meaning to try out some of the other stuff in this game. I know there's a fishing line for the fishing hook, and that's how you go fishing. We also performed a tactical search and seizure of public assets, and then had an entirely legal interaction with the police. Hello, officer. And then we committed our first ever felony hit and run where we weren't even driving. The courts have yet to rule on this matter. We then upgraded our ride to a nice and spacey box truck and found a nice home with 4 walls and a door to log off for the night. Day 2. Our day starts in the same garage as yesterday. How does that magic work? I have no idea. We acted out our primal urges of thievery and destruction inside the very home that showed us kindness and sheltered us the previous night. And after our thievery, we used our auto-clicker to cheese some easy medical stats, as one does. Then we find ourselves taking some time out of the busy day to dismember some goobies we had laying around. As we move on through our day, we should highlight that under United States law, all of these buildings are considered abandoned property since they have no permanent residences, taxes are not being paid, and personal effects are left behind. So I am not stealing the solar panel, I am merely finders keepers-ing the solar panel. We set our way on to adventure, and we admire the scenery for a moment. Wow, when the devs said they added background mountains, I was not expecting mountains that looked quite that good. Thank you, Ramjet Studios, for making this game even prettier than it was. Along our travels, we said hello to a doggy, nature's goodest boys. Oh, there's a doggy. And our next destination sees us commandeering our second solar panel. We have done virtually no work and achieved some form of energy independence in just a few hours. Later on, while crossing a bridge, we became aware of a wonderful sight before us, and we had to admire the scenery once again. Sometimes surviving the apocalypse means appreciating the small things. Sightseeing is a good activity. Wrapping up our sightseeing tour, we spent a few minutes driving to our next destination, this dude's house. Our mission? Steal that industrial forge. I would like to point out that day 2 isn't even over, and we have infinite energy from the sun and equipment to begin our manufactories required for the power plant. Now that's passive income! Yeah. Having collected our spoils, we then took our time carefully navigating the roadways of New York State. We drove and drove and drove. until we reached our final destination, the Maple Mart number 152. Since we plan on taking this property over as permanent residents, we have to deal with this group of squatters trying to jack our biz. Having spent a chunk of time dismantling the establishment of oppression that was Home Invaders, we then took our time cleaning the space up as best we could, and then we realized we had an enemy nearby. We succeeded in destroying the generator, so we signed off for the day, overlooking our kingdom with high hopes. Day 3. Our third day began inside our sovereign territory, the Maple Mart number 152, which we definitely did not steal. We spent our morning cleaning, which is our term for throwing out the previous owner's hopes and dreams to make room for our stuff. Our store alarm went off again, proving that alarm systems in this country are just as stubborn as the undead, and then we practiced some aggressive customer service on the local shoppers using the power of physical persuasion. After dealing with our customers, we built a Tier 1 workbench, finally achieving the American dream of being able to fix things that we broke ourselves. But only then did we discover that phase shifters had started invading. Because apparently regular zombies weren't inconvenient enough for our schedule. Then the game mechanic of punching bloodstains away was discovered, a life hack the health department probably wouldn't approve of? I don't know. Along our cleaning spree, we ate some questionable hot dogs, resulting in a deep spiritual and physical depression that only processed meat can provide. I didn't know I was gonna be so depressed from eating a hot dog. I thought I was an American. After some time, we realized we were infected with the zombie. Wait, sick? I got the zombie? Which we're blaming on the hot dogs, rather than our own poor life choices. We handled our illness with family tradition, getting plastered, starting fights, and drunk driving into a storefront before overdosing on ice cream. That's a lot of ice cream. It's got a lot of ice cream. And getting slept by a local. Our life began again in an A-frame, which means we're back in Franklin County on the other side of the map. Great. While looting through our new home, we got some smokies, and learned our new life began in the residence of a man who definitely peaked in high school. Varsity jacket, I'll take it. Another varsity jacket? This dude peaked in high school. Khaki shorts, this dude peaked in high school. And armed ourselves with a fork, the mightiest weapon ever forged for the purpose of stabbing things that are already dead. On our way through the day, we spent a moment saying hello to a bubby.
Oh, it's a bunny.
And then we burnt rice, but ate it anyway, because
rice.
standards are the first thing to go in the end of times. Having eaten a succulent burnt meal, we found and then performed a tactical acquisition of a motorcycle to facilitate our continued flight from accountability. And then we ended our day on the road, confident that our streak of bad luck was definitely, probably, maybe over. Day 4. Our fourth day started on a high note, mostly because we were not actively rotting from a zombie infection. We had high hopes and things were looking great.
Now this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, that's all it'll take, and I'll tell you how I jumped my bike into a lake.
Well, things just got a little bit more tough. We stayed positive despite being stranded. Mostly because crying makes it harder to see the zombies. After climbing our way out of the embankment, we engaged in a long-distance cardio session down the highway in search of something with 4 wheels and a working engine. After riding for several minutes, we discovered a house to liberate of its various assets and dignity. While doing so, we decided that we were going to do a quid pro quo and perform a reverse burglary by leaving the homeowners a nice mounted deer to compensate for the stuff we actually want. Having committed our home invasion, we upgraded our status to sedan owner via the ancient rite of Grand Theft Auto. Our adventure saw us terrorizing the neighborhood while asking the locals where they keep their maps. Minutes pass and we find and then utilize a scavenged cell phone for navigation, because even in the apocalypse, we are servants to GPS. However, our crime spree isn't over yet, because we pulled off a double heist of an ice machine and a food warmer and stumbled upon a better truck. That's when we drove our plunder towards Bowen Park. If you want to be cool, help feed some hungry people. Whoa, you're probably wondering why I mentioned that feeding hungry people is cool, so let me explain. It is. You see, viewer, every day about 48 million Americans face food insecurity. Some of you listening may have in the past, or are currently facing, or even know someone who is facing some level of food insecurity. This is a huge problem that not only is close to home for me, but for many of you as well. Feeding America is a charity where the donations lead directly to feeding hungry Americans to the tune of about 10 meals per dollar donated. I have links for Feeding America and the campaign I am a part of in the description and pinned comments. I would also like to take this time to inform you that 15% of any income this channel makes will be donated to Feeding America and other projects to feed hungry people. Back in the game, we performed the heist of a century by stealing not one, not two, but every single solar panel in Bowen Park simultaneously. Things could not go wrong in any way, shape, or form, so we said our goodbyes to Bowen Park and the audience as we signed off for the day. Day 5. Day 5 started with us hoping the truck would not fall apart under the weight of our collective thefts, and then an inevitable disaster struck us. From the tip of the panels to the root of our core, we were shaken. Oh, barnacles, we were put into panic mode to assess the damages. After assessing the damages, we reconstructed our mega transporter and drove home like we were carrying a box of kittens and nitroglycerin. At our base, we set off the alarm again, because consistency is key when you're trying to attract an audience of the undead, right? Things were looking too dire. We had to construct a makeshift wall to funnel the undead where we could manage them. After we dealt with the worst shopping-related massacre since Black Friday, we had to clear the remaining bodies of the shoppers from our property. We didn't want any infractions in case a health inspector came by. Then we did some light base maintenance and resource management, like a fat squirrel preparing for a winter. And because our construction projects will take vast amounts of materials, most of them screws, we need to set out and find some tools and schematics, and we know no better place than the prison. Along the way, we abused some reality lag to break into the prison, which is technically a victimless crime if the guards are all rotting. After spending several real-world minutes rummaging through the prison workshop, we failed to find exactly what we wanted at the prison, so we moved on. We were going to be liberating the power plant instead. It was there and then when we were looting and pillaging through the concrete jungle of the power plant that we found the holy grail of hardware: nails and screw schematics. While I was in the power plant, I became aware of a problem that needed taking care of. and with the grace of an overweight butcher taking his marital problems out on a beef quarter, we dispatched to the generator. It's now swimming in the fishes, or whatever. Starting off again, we once again committed burglary to the tune of Grand Theft Appliance, reconciling the fact that we stole our new oven, washer and dryer, and a freaking bed. We dipped out. Who are the cops gonna believe? The dude in the big truck meant to be moving things, or the undead monument of rotting, grunting flesh that is the previous owner? After having arrived at home with a washer and dryer, and finally bringing some class to our post-apocalyptic convenience store, we signed off for the day with hopes for a better tomorrow. Day 6. Our Day 6 began with normal tasks, such as setting off the alarm, a morning ritual that's becoming more predictable than a tax audit, and installing our stolen appliances. Things are looking more homely. At one point, we decided that we had enough of the undead communists attacking our American way of life, and used the powers the American justice system affords to us of eminent domain to expand our property line. And to expand our property line, we needed more materials, and there's no better way of exerting our rights as American citizens than visiting a drive-thru, of which we made our own by dismantling and taking ownership of the local property lines. At one point along the drive, we found and then subsequently home invaded and multiple homicided several goobers hiding in their dwelling. Then we achieved a major milestone, building a Tier 2 workbench. This is a crucial part of any construction site, which our entire base is. We spent our afternoon crafting too many nails and screws according to people who don't understand logistics, and afterwards we installed an oven in the public bathroom, as one does. During an attack on our way of life, we accidentally dismantled our own front door, proving that our worst enemy is ourselves. And thus, we barely survived a close encounter with a horde by the skin of our teeth. Being trapped in our own base felt like a disaster we did not prepare for. Having survived the last attack, we realized we were close to what we thought was our challenge goal level of exhausted. We learned later that we were wrong. There is no exhausted status effect. There is only a percentage bar to show how tired you are. But in our moment of ignorance, we tried to force ourselves to sleep by combining exercise with heavy drinking, a technique we like to call the weekend warrior. However, we drank too greedily and too deep, and we disturbed that which we fled. Alcohol poisoning. We ended the day by waking up from a bender with no memory and a headache that would kill a lesser man, but we were safe. For now. Day 7. Day 7 began with us waking up in a random house, which is usually how a good Tuesday ends. We spent the morning looting our temporary abode because finders keepers is the only law that still matters. We did our civic duty by exterminating every enemy of progress in the immediate vicinity, then performed another unsanctioned vehicle adoption to keep our travel schedule on track. Our adventure saw us annexing several garden barrels from a trailer park, assuming the previous owners were too dead to file a complaint with the authorities. On our way home, we found a park to scavenge, which is just a fancy way of saying we were there to take everything that wasn't bolted down, and maybe some of the stuff that was. This, however, was a mistake. We triggered a horde when we were too far away from our car. Things were looking bleak, but we made our break for the whip. We engaged in a blood-pumping escape to the car, barely avoiding becoming a snack for the neighbors. Only after getting in the car did we find out that the car was garbage and died immediately, which is exactly why you shouldn't trust free vehicles. Having barely made it out the first time, we made a desperate dash for the other ride, proving that we had zero cardio and 100% luck. Success, we escaped with our lives and spent a few precious moments taking in the sunshine. After we had taken our anger out on the local populace in the form of road rage and vehicular manslaughter, we had the perfect opportunity to gain some levels and process the undead menace. So we processed as many as we could. However, there simply were too many. Having filled up on loot and some experience, we set off again to escape the chaos, and we found another ice machine. And because retail therapy works in the apocalypse, we took it for ourselves. This leads us to the end of the day. Our hopes high and our stolen ice machine higher. We are ready to commit more crimes tomorrow. Day 8. Our day 8 started on the road, hauling our ill-gotten gains towards the convenience store we call home. Then we got distracted with a side quest and robbed the local pharmacy of its ice machine, because one can never have too many freezers. After we finally got home, we spent the afternoon interior designing our base by shoving freezers into corners. During the downtime that followed, we had a revelation. We had the materials for a repair bench, so naturally we spent some time power leveling repair in preparations for the Simtrans project. And by the disgrace of the divine beings above and below, we once again got surprised by the alarm. We ended up dealing with far fewer goobers than usual thanks to our utility cabinets, which is just good planning. Once we had a moment to ourselves, we engaged in a recursive construction loop of brackets and screws to power level our skills through pure tedium, and afterwards we recycled several would-be customers to keep the store floor clean of rotting health hazards. Our day ended. We were unkempt, hydrated, and depressed. The 3 pillars of modern survival, and things were looking good. Day 9. We started our day at the home base where things were looking good. And to keep things optimal, we took a drink of water from the washing machine, as one does. Then we started building fences to keep out unwanted guests. And we engaged in some aggressive landscaping by cutting down trees for strategic resources. This leads us to needing to dispatch several trespassers who were clearly offended by the sound of our freedom build. And after dealing with the local ne'er-do-wells, we spent more time cutting down trees, and unfortunately, we struggled with the tree-to-car related physics the entire time. We then took a moment out of our day to thank Lord Dogoth 1691 for leaving a suggestion in the comments. Thank you, truly. I read all of the comments and I truly appreciate any interaction with my videos. Lord Dogoth 1691, thank you for telling me the process of collecting mugwort, using the mortar and pestle with it, and then grinding that down and cooking a paste. It's supposed to keep stress down. Supposed to be really good at that. I had no idea about any of that. I haven't done any of the update survival stuff. After that, we used an auto-clicker to streamline the crafting process, because working hard is for people who are not us. We then took a moment to build crates to better organize our hoarding addiction in preparation for the real challenge, and a little while later we began to prep for the utility shutoff by building fluid barrels, because dying of thirst is embarrassing. So we built even more fluid barrels, becoming the country's leading water mogul, and once having secured enough water storage to survive the end of the world, or at least fill a pool, we signed off for the day with high hopes. Day 10. We started the final day of this update enjoying the comforts of a stolen convenience store. Then our pressing goals lead us to immediately going back to building walls, because isolationism is our primary survival strategy. Our day moved on to more tree chopping rampages to satisfy our hunger for raw timber. Having chopped down several trees, we then built our first gate, finally giving us a front door for our property. During some point we realized our combat pack was falling apart, much like our moral compass, so we set off on a quest for hard leather or a camo pack, which is basically just a shopping trip where nobody pays. Fortunately, along the way we inherited a hazmat suit from the previous owner who was no longer using it. Having acquired our new exclusion suit, we kept driving around looking for combat pack wearers or sources of hard leather. We wasted time chasing a deer through the woods only to discover that deer only give us soft leather, the most useless participation trophy of the entire animal kingdom. We then drove through a field of some corn, driving through Further along the way we found a fishing store and applied for temporary ownership of its entire inventory. It was immediately granted. Following the rules of the challenge, we had to destroy every generator in the building. And then we took a moment of reprieve, and some time was spent playing with a canoe, because the apocalypse is basically just a very dangerous vacation. Yo. And then we searched every container in the building until the very last container had it. The mini sledge schematic. We haven't found any heavy hammers to use so far, and they are crucial for the later parts of the challenge, so this was a major find. And once again we resumed our hunt for hard leather, the rarest substance known to man and beast. We stumbled upon and then euthanized some cows in a fruitless pursuit of hard leather, leaving us with nothing but regret and some raw beef. A little while later, we enjoyed a great American activity of driving through a trailer park. Then after that, we tried attracting boars from the woods by honking our horn on the railroad tracks. It didn't work. Then, due to happenstance, we wandered our way into a mine with our truck. I don't know why we did this either. We had ourselves a safe, legal, and completely safe drive, and arrived at the quarantine center. We ended our day 10 overlooking a massive facility to rob on tomorrow's episode, because the zombies never sleep, and neither does our greed. Well folks, this update has been quite a ride so far. From our humble beginnings in setting the stage to our story, to wacky misadventures. The adventure of the Clorox will continue another day. That was the gist of day 1 to 10 of the SimpTrans project, so thank you all for tuning in and making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video and maybe leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content. It's been my absolute pleasure playing Vane, editing the videos, and writing the script for this video. So far along this journey, we've earned 76 subscribers and 40 valid public watch hours. These are huge steps along my journey as a creator, and I'd like to personally say thank you to my viewers and subscribers. Because of you, we are one step closer to monetizing the channel, which means we're one step closer to monthly donations to Feeding America. Be sure to check out the pinned comment for more information. So until next time, Kasaka from the YouTube channel Game for Home, signing off with high hopes.